Hey, this is Fuchsia, and I've really been getting into, redesigning Pokemon lately. Looking at like my past videos, I did a few which I really did thoroughly enjoy, but I kind of noticed that my videos lately focused on like the newer Pokemon or like the Pokemon of like this region that just came out, like Gen 9. And I'm still probably going to do more videos when like the DLC comes out and there are hopefully new Pokemon and new designs that I can like play around with and redesign or do some stuff with and make content about. But I realized that I didn't really give any of the old Pokemon any love, which strikes me as like a little odd that I haven't done yet, but it's something that I really wanted to do. So I felt like what better place to start than a Pokemon that I really like, but the rest of the Pokemon community really hates, I guess. And now I know it's kind of like a meme that everyone hates Trubbish and Garboder, and I know some people will be like, it's not a meme, it's very real, that they just really don't like the designs at all, which is understandable. Not everyone's gonna like the same thing, but it is one of those Pokemon that I do end up enjoying myself. So I thought like, that's the perfect start. Like, a good chunk of the fan base really, really, really hates Trubbish and Garboder. And, I thought I would try to, like, redesign it to, like, not improve it. Definitely not improve it, because I think it's a really solid design as is. But maybe, like, make it a bit more appealing to the broader Pokemon community. And I'll talk about, like, my ideas and thought processes when I put up the speed draw. So I think we should probably get into that right now, so I'm gonna, start the speed draw right now. So jumping into the time lapse, I'm pretty sure everyone can see that, hey, Trubbish has a tail, what's up with that? So I've noticed one of the main things that people have issues with Trubbish and Garbodor is that they're like inanimate objects, which I know there are like inanimate object Pokemon that people really like Chandelure and all that. But for whatever reason, people really critique Trubbish and Garboder on that aspect, like a lot. Like that's like the main thing that people have issues with, which I can kind of get. It's like a very simplistic concept and, in turn kind of makes a simplistic design. And so I was thinking, how do I make it like more complex? How do I make it more interesting in terms of like concept? Because, everyone had issues that them being, trash was like the only thing to their designs, which is what I feel like turned most people off. So I don't know if everyone knows that like Trubbish is a cat meme, but for those who don't know, like, I don't remember how long ago this was, but for like Cat Day or whatever, a while ago, Pokemon like released like this fun little image that had like all the cat Pokemon playing together and interacting, and it was really cute and really sweet. But one of like the things that was kind of like off-putting, or not off-putting, but it was really interesting that Trubbish was one of the Pokemon that was included in that lineup of cat Pokemon. It didn't really make any sense, really, because for the most part, people thought it was just, a pile of trash. That's all there was. But now there's like suddenly like a hidden, I guess, confirmation that Trubbish is kind of a cat. It was really funny for like a lot of people that it was considered to be a part of that lineup and, made the joke that Trubbish is a cat. But I thought it would be interesting to like make that true, to make that weird addition of Trubbish from that one obscure photo into reality, and decided to incorporate it into its design. Because I found out later there are also some Pokemon entries and some like Pokemon interviews with like character designers and stuff who talk about Trubbish in specific, not really Garbodor, but Trubbish is supposed to be like a Pokemon that has the garbage bag as a disguise, and that its like hidden form is like underneath the bag, and it just kind of uses it as like camouflage, which I thought would be like really interesting to like kind of really lean into that. So I would kind of like lean into like its hidden lore and also the joke about it being a cat. It is, in my redesign, kind of like I guess like a cat raccoon hybrid, because I thought it would also be interesting to throw in some raccoon in there. But it would be like a cat raccoon that kind of like uses garbage and the garbage bag as like its disguise, and it would just like camouflage itself in the cities just by looking and acting like trash, even though it's kind of like a wild feral cat animal. And I feel like that would add a whole lot of personality to Trubbish too, because a lot of the cat Pokemon have like different personalities, much like real cats, but a lot of them have like either very playful, very like sly. Apart from like maybe one or two of them, we don't really have a lot of like gremlin alley cats, I'd say. So I thought it'd be really fun to kind of associate that with Trubbish, because it would literally just be an actual alley cat that, you know, covers itself in garbage. And now that we're getting into colors, I kept all the colors pretty much the same, kind of just keeping the same patterns and all that from regular Trubbish and Garboder, with like the browns, and like I added an extra shade of brown just to kind of like differentiate the patterns on the tail and insinuate a little bit more of like the paws on the ends of its tail, or not the ends of its tail, at the end of its arms, like make it look more paw-like. And I think the only other thing is I changed like the eye color, mostly because I changed the eyes to kind of be more cat-like, and I felt like white wasn't really gonna cut it, and so I changed it into like that lime green just to like be more like cat adjacent. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I'll put up the final render right now. So as you can see, like I tweaked some stuff here and there in terms of like coloring and shading, but I pretty much kept it the same. There were like key things that I really tried to like amp up the cat characteristics, so that way it wouldn't take away from Trubbish's original charm, but it would just like amp up the concept that I was going for. Oh, and I'll also add the shinies. I decided to change the shinies as well because Trubbish and Garboder kind of have a little bit of a lackluster shiny, which I know might contribute to why some people don't like it too, because it doesn't have like a particularly good shiny. But I changed it. I changed their kind of dark blue black bag into a white bag, which like garbage bags can be any color really, so I decided to switch it completely around into white. And then I changed like the brown garbage areas into more pink, mostly because I had that idea from my brother, who showed me this really cool concept of like, I think it was like a regional Trubbish or Garbodor that someone made for a fan game, and in its regional form it had like pink garbage because it was supposed to like mimic the garbage Wormadam form, or trash Wormadam, I think that's what it's called, but you know, the one that, you know, is bug steel for no reason. But I thought it was a really cool idea because that is like another Pokemon that directly calls out it being made out of trash, and it's like bright pink, so I thought that would be fun to kind of like add it into its shiny. So I'll be jumping into Garbodor's time lapse right now. So Garbodor, as you can see, I made a couple more changes to. I added a couple more of those like cat and raccoon features. Like I kept the tail, but I also like decided to change the puffs that I had on the top of its head into kind of like more ear shapes. I kind of changed the like hand, or like the fully formed hand that Garbodor had, into kind of more of a like paw with claws. They're kind of like pseudo claws, to kind of like still go more into like the paw territory, like really bring out like the animal features. And I also did change like the patterning, as you can see, give it like kind of more of a tummy pattern, giving it like little foot patterns, just kind of like really amplifying like the animal nature still a little bit. But I still kind of kept Garbodor kind of like janky and decrepit still a little bit, because I felt like that would like continue on the concept that I was going on from Trubbish, where Trubbish was like a Pokemon that disguises itself to look like trash and like acts the part of being like a little gremlin trash cat monster. Garbodor kind of like leans into more of, oh, it is now being consumed by the trash that it was disguising itself in, and now has become a part of that trash. Which is why I kept like the wires that go through the arms, and it looks a little bit more like decrepit, and like the bag isn't containing its body anymore. But these are all like aspects from Garbodor that I carried over because I felt like that's what they were trying to go with. But it was like a little bit harder to tell because Trubbish and Garbodor just both look like trash. so that concept didn't really like land through. But I think with the addition of like the cat raccoon aspect that I wanted to go for, it becomes a little bit more clear that it is being consumed by the trash that it was trying to disguise itself with, and has become an actual literal trash cat. And I think that's like a really dark and cool design concept that I think Pokemon should have gone with, or I think that they were trying to go with, but it was just a little bit harder for them to depict that when they were both being depicted as trash. But I also know that my design may not be perfect in that regard either, because it's easy to say that these concepts are like easy to read when it's my own design and I'm explaining it out loud to everyone. But it may just be the same thing that Game Freak had trouble with when they were trying to like present Trubbish and Garboder, where it seemed obvious to them what was going on, but maybe not to the audience. So I at least understand that part where it may not click with some people still, but I feel like, at least on my end, that I really tried to like show what I wanted to do with Trubbish and Garboder as a concept and how I would like amplify it a little bit more. But even so, I'm really proud of what I did with both of these designs, and hopefully I can make more people appreciate the ideas that Trubbish and Garboder were supposed to have, or at least that I think they were supposed to have, and maybe convert some of the people who didn't like those designs into, maybe not like jumping right away into liking normal Trubbish and Garboder, but maybe appreciate what they were trying to do, and maybe still prefer my design more. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do with this redesign. But that being said, I really do like what I did with these guys. Do I wish that they were real over regular Trubbish and Garboder? I don't really know. I feel like maybe this could have been like an alternate design, maybe be polished up a little bit more. But overall, I think they're really great designs. And then, yeah, I'm like towards the end of the coloring and shading right now. Again, I kept the same colors, just added a couple darker accents to really like bring in the animalistic coloring a little bit with the darker browns, especially on the new patternings and stuff. And that's pretty much it. That's my redesign for Garbodor. But yeah, again, you can see that I tweaked like some of the coloring, some of the lighting, and some of the shading. But other than that, the design didn't change too much. And I'll also put it shiny right now. I kept it the same shiny as my redesigned shiny for Trubbish. I just felt like it was such a good shiny on Trubbish, it had to be really good on Garbodor, and you know what, I was right. I feel like it looks really cool, or at least it looks really nice to look at, and so I really enjoyed the shiny as well, with the pink trash and the white bag. But yeah, so those were my redesigns, and like I said in the Garbodor time-lapse part, I really hope that people like my redesigns and can learn to appreciate, normal Trubbish and Garbodor, which I know might be like a big ask for some people because they really don't like the design. But, doing this had made me also think that I could also probably try to redesign some other Pokemon from the older gens, and maybe even Pokemon that not everyone likes or is like very unpopular with the entirety of the community. Maybe like throw my hat in the ring to see how I would redesign them or change them or whatever. But yeah, maybe I could do that. If you guys have like any Pokemon or Pokemon lines that you would recommend me to do, or have any other art ideas that I could try my hand at, just leave it in the comments. I know I'm like very bad at responding to the comments, but I still do read them, and I see all the nice comments and stuff, and I get very encouraged. And I love seeing all your guys' like names and ideas and things to do with both my designs and my videos. So I'm really thankful to all of you guys, and yeah, just leave a comment, let me know. I might not always respond, but I'm always reading them. So yeah, just go in the comments. Anyway, that's all for now, but bye.